Let's talk skills. Skills are one of the hottest topics in the AI community right now, but what exactly are they? How do you set them up, and what are the benefits? This tutorial will answer those questions and give you practical tips for using skills effectively with your agent. Although this tutorial focuses on Codex, skills are not Codex exclusive. They follow a shared structure that can be used across multiple modern coding agents. Once you understand how to build a skill, you can reuse it beyond Codex with little to no modification. Before skills, if I wanted Codex to do something specialized, like running a structured migration process, for example, I had to paste all the detailed instructions into the prompt every single time. That often led to overprompting, long, heavy prompts filled with repeated guidance that cluttered context and weren't easy to maintain. A skill fixes that by packaging specific knowledge or step-by-step instructions for a defined task. Instead of embedding all the details in every prompt, the guidance lives in one place and is loaded only when needed by the agent. Its structure is a SKILL.md file, which is required. It defines the skill name, description, and instructions, a scripts folder, which is optional, helper scripts to automate parts of a task, a references folder, which is optional as well, additional resources or checklists, and an assets folder, which is optional, that may contain templates, images, or other media. Skills use a shared open standard, meaning a single SKILL.md can often work across many agents with minimal changes. Codex can activate the skill in two ways. Either explicitly, you tell Codex to use a specific skill in your prompt, or automatically, Codex chooses to use a skill if its description matches the task. This makes skills flexible and easy to integrate into your workflow. Open your terminal, activate Codex, make sure you're using the latest version. Type /skills. Codex will show the skills currently available. If the one you needed isn't listed, you can create a new skill. You have a few options. Create it manually, ask Codex to generate it for you, or install an existing skill that fits your use case. I often generate code for my tutorials, and I always have to remind the agent, the audience of my tutorial, and the level of difficulty in order for it to generate the appropriate code. So let's create a skill for that. Create a new folder for your skill, for example, Jupyter Notebook tutorial. Inside the folder, create a skill.md file. Define the skill. The important elements your skill should not miss are the name and description. Name: Jupyter Notebook tutorials. Description: structured Jupyter tutorial notebooks for different learner levels with clear flow, cell sequencing, and code complexity control. In the instructions, use a clear workflow, follow a consistent tone, execute an order checklist. I will add the references folder, and it will contain the structures for each level: beginner, intermediate, and expert. I won't bore you with the process of me writing the instructions, so I will just copy-paste them for now from another project. My instructions have audience assumption, notebook structure, code structure rules, markdown style, exercise pattern, and what to avoid. Now, your own files do not have to have this exact information. Write them according to your needs. This approach gives you full control over your skill and its behavior. In my skill.md, I will tell it to load the exact reference file and a few more instructions that I feel would be useful. Now, can you avoid using references and putting everything in the skills.md in this case? Yes, you can, but why do that? If your prompt is, hey, I'm giving a tutorial to an advanced audience, and you put everything in the skills.md, the agent will go through the beginner rules, intermediate rules, then the expert rules. With references, since I've told it in the skills.md file to use the expert.md file, it will use that directly without giving it extra unnecessary information for the task. If you're lazy like me, Codex has a built-in skill creator command. Skill creator. You can ask it to generate a skill automatically. For example, create a skill to check the quality of a Jupyter notebook, small tables, tidy outputs, run top to bottom at least once. Codex will generate skill.md, optional scripts and references folders. In this case, it generated the references folder as well, containing a quality checklist. This is perfect if you want a working skill quickly, without manual setup and extra headaches. Let's write a prompt and check if it will correctly invoke this skill. and it seems to be working. Neat. Now, there are two levels of laziness, the normal one and the crystal one. Sometimes I think too hard on even writing the prompt properly. For me, the simplest approach is to use a skill that already exists. And chances are, they will be pretty solid and well-written ones. But jokes aside, getting Codex help to write the skill or using an existing one isn't just about being lazy, it's about writing a better skill. It's surprisingly easy to write bad skill docs that are too long or full of unnecessary details. For that, Codex already has an existing command, skill installer. Paste the repository URL containing the skill. For example, I'll go to the skills.sh and grab the Python expert best practices code review. Paste the link of the repository. Why did I choose this skill? Well, it's well structured and complete. It includes instructions on how to properly write Python code, like no line imports, no unnecessary else blocks, no generic except, some refactoring rules, stuff that you'd normally add as prompt instructions. You may notice they are under a rules folder, not a reference folder, and that might throw you off. There is nothing to worry about. Reference folder is just an example pattern skills usually use, but it is not a required folder name. This specific skill is authored to use rules folder as its supporting docs directory. The skill.md contains general rules on when to apply it, the priority list, and what each rule file contains. This structure can even serve as a guide when building your own skills. Once installed, every time you prompt Codex to write, review, or refactor Python code, it should automatically follow the script's workflow using its references and best practices. I do not have to worry. Here I am asking Codex to generate a small terminal-based project, a personal budgeting app. It is using the skill because it identified the task is relevant for the skill without saying that explicitly. It also checks if the error handling and type structure aligns with the Python best practices skill. And here is the result of some code written by Codex invoking that skill. Pretty neat, right? Now, it's all fun and games until something bad happens. Skills are super easy to install via skill installer or via plugins, but you should be careful on what repo or resources you decide to use. In my case, I installed one from a safe repository, but you cannot go and grab a skill written by a random Joe without reading it and making sure it's safe. So, keep in mind, before you decide to install a skill, make sure it is safe, just like you would normally do before cloning a random repository. Be safe and be secure. Another tip, don't overload your skill. Keep each skill focused on a single task. Write instructions in imperative form and clearly specify the inputs and outputs. Our AIDA has written a fantastic blog for that. Please give it a read, link in the description. And another one. When you write the prompt, maybe tell the agent explicitly to use a skill you want. In this way, you help the agent to do the right thing and avoid unwanted behavior. And the last one, I promise. Do not overuse them. What I mean by that is choose when to use rules under agents.md and when to use skills. If you'd like to define how your agent should behave generally, for example project standards or safety constraints, agents.md will do just fine. If you need to guide your agent through a specific task, especially a repeatable, detailed workflow that's too large or specialized for a rules file, and you want it triggered only when needed, for example running a security-focused code review, or handling multi-file updates, then skills would be the right choice. Skills are more than a convenience feature. They are how you move from clever prompting to real workflow engineering. Instead of repeating yourself, you design once. Instead of cluttering context, you modularize. Instead of hoping the model remembers, you give it structured memory on demand. I hope this tutorial made you grab your agent and start thinking in skills, not just prompts.